Hey guys, how you doing? Hope you're doing okay. I'm going to give you an overview of the article here as opposed to read through every last word. Hopefully I'll give you all of the key details. There's a link in the description. It's in regards to the fatal shooting of a woman at the hands of deputies. This happened in Loudoun County, Virginia. And essentially, police were called out to a premises due to a domestic disturbance. And this happened at 4 a.m. Friday morning. When police arrived, they were met at the door by a woman, a 36-year-old called Fabrizia Verto Gaynor, and she refused to drop the knife that she was holding. So police, the deputies, ordered her to drop the knife. She didn't. She lunged at the deputies. The deputies fired, and subsequently the 36-year-old woman with the knife, Fabrizia Verto Gaynor, died. She was taken to Reston Hospital and she died at some point after that. The deputies went into the apartment. They found a 15-year-old girl as well as a 38-year-old woman, both suffering from stab wounds. They are expected to survive, but that's as much information as we have. To be honest with you, it's a little bit concerning for me to read that they're expected to survive. I don't know, maybe I'm misinterpreting that, but my take on it is the lack of details is indicating that perhaps they were severe injuries. It could have been multiple stab wounds to each, but certainly we do know that a 15-year-old and a 38-year-old within the apartment were stabbed. But perhaps I'm wrong with my interpretation. Perhaps it's simply a good thing that we know that they are expected to survive. So as far as we understand, there was an argument between the 36-year-old who was killed by the deputies and the 38-year-old woman. They know each other, they're friends. There was an argument. That's about as much as we do know. In addition to that, the deputies went into the apartment. They found two other children in the apartment in a back bedroom. The sheriff is confident that the two children who, and this is speculation on my part, who may be the children of the deceased, but the sheriff is confident that they would not have witnessed the shooting, the death of the 36-year-old. The children would not have witnessed that. Of course, they would have heard the shots, though. They may or may not have witnessed the stabbings of the 15-year-old and the 38-year-old. So that's obviously going to be troubling for the children concerned. Again, we don't know if the deceased was the mother. I'm speculating that it may have been the mother, but we don't know that. A neighbor tells us that they woke up, and again, this happened around 4 a.m. in the morning, Friday morning. A neighbor woke up hearing the kids screaming and crying. Minutes later, deputies arrived. The neighbor says that they heard the deputies saying, "Drop the weapon, drop the weapon." And then shortly after that, the neighbor heard the shooting. The neighbor also said that the lady that died was naked, bleeding on the hallway floor, still fighting with the deputies whilst they're trying to administer first aid. And that's pretty much the article there. The final bit of information is the sheriff has told us that the two deputies that were involved with fatally shooting the 36-year-old who lunged at them with a knife, those two deputies have been put on paid administrative leave, which I believe is standard practice for those deputies or officers involved with a fatal shooting. It's not a reflection on wrongdoing on their part at all. So there is that story there, that article, that case. There's a link in the description if you'd rather go through that yourself. I'll just make a couple of comments and then I'll wrap things up. It is tragic, of course. It does involve the loss of life of a woman, who could be the mother of the two children within the apartment. We don't know that. Again, that's me speculating. It is tragic. It seems senseless. Two people are stabbed. A 15-year-old, a 38-year-old woman are stabbed. Thankfully, they're expected to survive, but you know, this is just craziness. This is what would have sparked this? What would have justified this 36-year-old woman? Again, her name is Fabrizia Vito Gaynor. What would have justified her behavior to have stabbed a 15-year-old? To have stabbed her friend, a 38-year-old? And to have lunged at police with a knife? You know, absolutely crazy behavior. Of course, we don't know all the ins and outs, but I have to assume that the 36-year-old that was shot, fatally shot, was the aggressor. Sounds like they were. It doesn't sound like they were defending themselves. If they were if she was defending herself, then why is she attacking the police officers? Why is she attacking the deputies even after seemingly she's been shot and she's you know, she's still wrestling with the police officers whilst they're trying to administer first aid? Craziness. And I'm seeing this craziness like just completely nonsensical violent behavior. That's what I'm seeing in several of these articles. I made a video just an hour or so ago. Yeah, a shooting at a in New York City in a Queens bar. I've made a video in regards to this. You may want to check it out. Two off-duty correction officers were shot at a Queens bar early Saturday morning. Essentially, a patron was kicked out of the bar, and then they went home by the look of it, or they came back, and they were standing outside of the bar, the Showtime Bar and Lounge in Queens, and were shooting inside of the bar. They shot two people. They both happened to be correction officers. Seemingly, they weren't the targets of the shooting. They were just there having a drink. But yeah, it's just this crazy rage, crazy nonsensical violence, which we're just seeing not only in New York, as I mentioned, it's all over. And I feel, and I could be entirely wrong, but I feel that this is not normal. That, I mean, obviously there is random violence. That's always been a thing. But my feeling is that this is taking hold of people who may not necessarily be career criminals. There's something that's taken a hold of people, causing them to act in these extremely violent, desperate ways. I mean, lunging at the police officer, she would know what was going to happen. She would be shot. She would be killed. She would have known that. It's desperation, isn't it? Anyhow, I'm going to wrap things up here. Thank you for listening. If you do see value in this content, if you'd like me to carry on making the videos, I am trying to make as many as I can, covering a range of true crime, mostly violent, and trying to discuss that with you guys. If you do see value in that, please do like, comment, subscribe, give me a little bit of encouragement, share the video. Perhaps we can have a conversation in a live stream. Maybe I might revisit that live streams at some point, but I'll thank you for your time.